Next on People in the News.
So, Maddie, CNN's here. You ever watch CNN?
Oh, hey, man.
A glimpse behind the scenes of Friends. The sitcom we've grown to love.
Friends was a lot more revolutionary to the history of American television than it gets credit for.
Storylines that never panned out.
A big romantic connection was going to be between Monica and Joey.
Fads that infiltrated our culture.
It's like, come on, my hair? I'm doing other things, too.
Insider information revealed.
From everything that we knew about Courtney or had seen her on Family Ties, we thought that she'd be a perfect Rachel.
And now, after a decade, these 6 friends say goodbye.
The cast backstage just got so emotional they started crying.
A revealing look at the cultural phenomenon of Friends. Now on People in the News.
Hi, welcome to People in the News. I'm Paula Zahn. Saying goodbye to old friends is never easy, especially when their lives have become part of our lives. For a decade now, 6 fictional characters have dominated and defined not only American television, but also pop culture. As Friends heads towards its final episode this week, a look at those on screen and behind the scenes of this sitcom phenomenon. Here's Sharon Collins.
Wait, hello? We didn't get married?
Married? That's ridiculous.
Ross and Rachel.
I love you.
Monica and Chandler.
Was it a meatball sub?
That is incredible.
Joey and Phoebe.
The fact that this has almost been a decade, the Friends has almost lasted a decade, is crazy to me.
Did I say congratulations?
I just feel like we're all still 25.
6 friends on a first-name basis. 6 people we can't seem to get enough of.
It's inevitable when you watch somebody every week, you become interested in their personal life. I mean, gee, Jennifer Aniston goes home to Brad Pitt. That's really fascinating.
6 actors who started out as unknowns.
These were actors who were sort of having perennial careers of being in pilots that didn't go far. None of them were stars. None of them had huge success.
6 characters who have taken up permanent residence in popular culture.
Look at me. I'm Chandler. Could I be wearing any more clothes?
People have started to talk a little bit like we talk, and that's always fun, interesting to hear. The other night, somebody came up to me and went, well, could you be more famous? That was funny.
Why don't you take the mic, Jennifer?
But why these 6? And why this show? And after 10 years together, are we finally ready to say goodbye?
This is the first one where I think this absolutely feels like we should stop now. It's the perfect time. The characters are positioned right. You don't want to stay too long at the fair.
The television landscape was a different place when Friends hit the air in 1994. 60 Minutes ruled the ratings. Family sitcoms such as Home Improvement and Roseanne were the top comedies, with Seinfeld charging fast. Television was changing.
Always popular.
Yeah, in the mid-90s, I mean, the networks were already going pretty young. I mean, they wanted to focus on this 20, 30-year-old demographic. NBC wanted to attract viewers who looked like the Friends, and that's what they got.
The idea for Friends came from creators Marta Kaufman and David Crane. They, along with fellow executive producer Kevin Bright, had been the driving force behind the racy HBO sitcom Dream On.
Hi.
Oh, no.
We spent our 20s living in New York, and
This is part of a little group of...
yeah, there were just a group of us who were best friends.
And action.
So we said, let's just do a show about that. You're out of college, you're not quite sure what you're going to do next, where it's going.
All your decisions are yet to be made. They're all in front of you. Everything has potential.
We didn't want a high concept. Originally we said, well, what if they all work together? Another show where they all work together? And it was like, no, they live, some of them live near each other, some of them don't. It's just about a group of friends.
How are you feeling?
Well, my apartment isn't there anymore because I drank it.
Simple as it seems, the Friends concept was unusual.
Up until then, the history of the sitcom had essentially gone from the nuclear biological family, Leave It to Beaver, Donna Reed, Father Knows Best, to the workplace family. That would be things like the Mary Tyler Moore Show and Murphy Brown. Here, this was more an out-of-workplace family.
The network wasn't sure the idea would fly.
I remember originally that there was a little bit of fear at NBC, just having 620-somethings being the center of a show.
Yeah, they were originally pushing for an older character. What if there's the guy who owns the coffee house, or a cop who comes in? It's like, oh, no, please.
Our feeling about it was that if the stories are good, and if you can connect with what's emotionally true in the stories, then anybody will watch.
The show's concept held true to the original idea. However, the characters themselves were changed slightly.
Chandler and Phoebe we didn't see as primary as the other four. They, in our minds, were a little more secondary. They would be our comic relief. And Matthew and Lisa were so phenomenal that they just became part of the whole thing, and it became a true ensemble.
6 or 7 when you think about it. Gilligan's Island, the Brady Bunch. It's that perfect kind of number right around in there where you can get people, one who's an intellectual, one who's kind of crazy, one who's really sexy. And I think we had that there. There really was a sense that Friends was Gilligan's Island in a Manhattan apartment.
Why are we in bed together?
I don't know. In fact, originally, the pairing of Ross and Rachel might have taken a back seat to another romance.
We originally were imagining that a big romantic connection was going to be between Monica and Joey. This is before it was cast, and then once we got them, we went, well, now that's interesting over there. What about Monica and Chandler? You know, you don't know. The show starts to tell you things.
When we come back,
Las Vegas.
From Boys Will Be Boys to Misfits of Science, what the cast members were doing before they became friends.
The idea that you would put these 6 almost nobodies together and you would have magic, nobody saw that coming.
Welcome back to People in the News and our special look at Friends.
In 1994, Friends was ready to go before the cameras.
The one-sentence description of the show is, it's that time in your life when your friends are your family.
The challenge was to find the perfect actors to sit around Central Perk.
We saw many, many versions of what that show might have been.
This is a real ensemble, and I think to do that, you need to cast people who aren't stars.
Want to hear my slogan?
Yes, please.
Sure.
Okay. Ursula, she's our man. If she's not Employee of the Month, nobody can.
One familiar, if not famous face the producers found was that of 31-year-old Lisa Kudrow. She'd been playing a supporting role on the comedy Mad About You. The daughter of a renowned headache specialist, Kudrow graduated from Vassar College with a biology degree, but had been bitten by the acting bug.
And I always wanted to do it. I always loved it. And I graduated, and my brother's best friend happens to be John Lovitz.
He got Saturday Night Live and started working, and, you know, was on his way to becoming this huge success.
Acting! Brilliant!
And that was really inspirational to me. So I thought, all right, let's try it. Let's give it a try.
Kudrow joined the Groundlings, an improv comedy troupe in Los Angeles. She'd also won the role of Roz on Frasier, which didn't work out.
Yeah, I got fired. And they were so nice about it. The producers called themselves and were just so sorry. We think you're great. This has nothing to do with your talent. You can't come away with this thinking this is any kind of sign other than maybe you're supposed to do something else, which, no, and they were right.
It's a totally different situation. It's apples and oranges.
Another friend who was cast early was 27-year-old David Schwimmer. The son of prominent Beverly Hills attorneys, Schwimmer attended Northwestern University studying theater. Later, he co-founded the Looking Glass Theater Company in Chicago with his own group of friends.
That you have that kind of give and take, and everyone's going through something, but it's a family. It's a second family.
David Schwimmer had auditioned for us for another pilot, and he just stuck in our minds.
In fact, of all of it, when we were writing the pilot, whenever we were writing Ross, we go, you know who'd be great for this? Was that guy, remember? And so...
He was kind of in the back of our minds.
And so when it was done, he's the first person we offered a part to.
Whoa, Sid, you look hot.
For the role of Chandler, producers chose 25-year-old Matthew Perry, an actor with a resume filled with TV guest spots, failed pilots, and off-the-air series such as 1990's Sydney.
Billy, get a life. I am trying.
Perry was a teenage tennis prodigy with dreams of turning professional. Instead, he chose to follow in the footsteps of his father, actor John Bennett Perry, who was best known for appearing in Old Spice commercials.
And the only way I would get to see him on a regular basis was on television. He would call up and he'd say, "Okay, I'm on, I'm on Hawaii Five-0 at 8 o'clock tonight." And I was like, "Great, I get to see Dad." And I think I generated kind of a respect for the business that way.
Now, Rich, when she taught you to kiss, this is at camp?
Another future cast member who'd been paying his dues was 27-year-old Matt LeBlanc.
Matt LeBlanc grew up in Massachusetts. His father's a mechanic. His mother was an office worker. He was an only child and segued into modeling. Very much the beefy, hunky kind of guy.
There were tough times in New York. There were very lean times. I worked as a short order cook, and I had others, various jobs just to squeak by.
LeBlanc, too, was a veteran of multiple minor television roles, including a spin-off of Married with Children.
Goodbye to you, Al, and to your 2 lovely daughters.
So what? She's a woman. So what?
Perhaps the best-known actor who would join the cast was 30-year-old Courtney Cox. Originally a teen model from Alabama, she first made her splash in a 1984 music video.
I think the Bruce Springsteen video, the way that opened doors for me, that was a fairy tale. Being in a video for 24 seconds, dancing like a total moron, yes, that's a fairy tale. The fact that I got into, see casting directors because of that.
Cox went on to win a recurring role on Family Ties, playing Michael J. Fox's girlfriend.
We originally saw Courtney as being Rachel, and it was really Courtney that came to us and said, "No, I'm Monica."
I'm a senior. You are nothing.
The role of Rachel would go to 25-year-old Jennifer Aniston, whose acting credits included the TV version of Ferris Bueller.
Keep a low profile.
The lowest.
Oh, my God.
And the low-budget horror flick Leprechaun.
Jeez.
The daughter of soap opera actor John Aniston, she was the last cast member to join Friends.
I knew Matt and the other Matt, Matthew, I had known, and so you just kept hearing the names of the people that were going to be doing it, and you just got more and more excited.
You don't know how it's going to end up. I mean, there were other actors who could have ended up in those parts.
Were offered and turned them down.
We don't like to talk about that,
no?
but it's true. And I imagine what this show would be with other people, and it's not the same show.
The cast was assembled, the chemistry instantaneous.
And cut. We saw that first run-through, and I remember it was like you were watching a cast that had been on television for 5 years already.
I got chills up my spine. I don't think they were even really in the middle of the show yet, of the run-through. Got chills up my spine and just knew that was magical.
We kind of all bonded a little bit just because we were on this show that we all like, and we all kind of feel lucky to be a part of it. So just a lot of smiling the first week.
A lot of love. You might say that it was Camp Friends.
Or you might not say that, depending on, where your mind's at.
Depending on who you want to hurt.
See, I wouldn't say it, but Lisa would say it, which I find interesting and fun. Sorry.
When People in the News continues, 6 new friends become icons, while the show quietly pushes the envelope.
There was a lot more sex talk on Friends than there had been in most television programs before that, but they just didn't make such a big deal about it.